So I'm walking around with my video camera, not really looking to shoot anything in particular. Then I came across this strange wooden box inside a small room. It had a lid on it with two angels with outstretched wings facing each other. Instantly I recognized it from the Old Testament. It's called the mercy seat, which was the most prominent feature of the lid on the Ark of the Covenant, a wooden box that was made by the Israelites camped at the foot of Mount Sinai. It's supposed to contain the 2 stone tablets of the 10 Commandments that was given by God to Moses, a jar of manna, and Aaron's staff, which had been in there so long it had even sprouted a bud or a tiny little branch. The raging controversy today, of course, is nobody knows what happened to the Ark of the Covenant. It just quietly and gradually disappeared from Bible accounts. The first mention of it is in Exodus 25, where God was setting up an appointment to meet the commanders of the Israelite tribes. Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, is the last mention of it in the Old Testament, although the New Testament book of Hebrews also made an ominous reference to it, saying that in the new dispensation, the Ark of the Covenant no longer represented the geographic focus of Israel's territory, because now God was going to start inhabiting the temple of the Holy Spirit in their hearts. And here I am to worship. If the Ark of the Covenant were to be found today, that would really be awesome. In the 1981 movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, there was this scene where the Ark of the Covenant is supposed to have been found.
Don't look at it. Shut your eyes.
And when people attempted to approach it, the tremendous energy that just radiated from it literally melted people down. Of course, this ark that I found is not the real Ark of the Covenant that is described in the Old Testament. This is just a really inspired artist's mock-up made of local pine wood. The real ark would have been made of shittim wood, a really tough kind of black hardwood that we call in the local dialect as bakawan. This mock-up is kept in a small building on top of a hill called Dominican Hill here in the northern city of Baguio, Philippines. It's a quaint little modern building which is kind of starting to earn a little bit of reputation for its oddity, because if you go outside and walk to the side of the building, look, you'll see the 10 Commandments painted as a mural on the side wall of the building. Obviously, this is not the 10 Commandments from Mount Sinai. It would be too big for Moses to carry, and it would not fit in the Ark of the Covenant. The makers of this mural claim that this is the biggest 10 Commandments representation in the world, which is something I kind of doubt, because it is just, after all, a mural painted on the wall of a building, and certainly there could be larger walls everywhere. But what's amazing here is there is a renewed interest today in things biblical, especially things having to do with Judeo-Christian tradition. This building was constructed by a local Christian ministry some years ago in preparation for the celebration of the Year of Jubilee of the nation of Israel. Jubilee is the 50th year immediately following 7 cycles of a 7-year period. In modern times, the starting point for counting the 49 years preceding the Jubilee year is 1967. That's the year when Israel regained control of Jerusalem, particularly the Temple Mount area where the Western Wall is located. This date is often celebrated all on its own as the anniversary of Israel's victory in the 6-day War of Yom Kippur in that year, 1967. So you add 50 years to 1967, and that explains marking the year 2017 as the Jubilee year. But some others observed the Jubilee year earlier in 1997, taking as their starting point of counting the year 1947. That's when the modern state of Israel was born. Among other things, during the year of Jubilee, all outstanding debts are cancelled. Obviously, that is something that is somewhat impossible to strictly observe in modern times. No modern banks or financial institutions today are just going to cancel mortgages on homes and cars just because of some quaint religious tradition. So the celebration now is largely symbolic. It's the year to forgive all kinds of debts and trespassings. It's a time for people to forgive the offenses committed on them by others and to embrace them as reconciled brothers and sisters. The expression, "let bygones be bygones," takes root from this tradition, which is happily still observed by many modern ministries. The Philippines was once considered the only Christian nation in Asia. But that is a title we have gladly and proudly relinquished a long time ago, with the sweeping revival of Christianity across South Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Japan, and even urban parts of China. particularly in Hong Kong and Taiwan. But some of the oldest religious sites and traditional pilgrimage sites of Christianity, especially Roman Catholicism, can still be found in the Philippines. And not a few of them are right here in Baguio City. But many of them are also in decline. The place where this fake Ark of the Covenant is sitting is one of those places. Today it is called the Dominican Hill Eco Park and Heritage Site. When it opened in 1915, this used to be a Jesuit seminary called Colegio de Santo Rosario, the College of the Holy Rosary. It closed just before the war in 1942 and was converted into a wartime refuge. But that did not spare it from becoming a Japanese Imperial Army garrison until it was bombed by the Allied forces in 1945. After it was repaired, it reopened as a seminary in the 1950s. Declining enrollment, which is to say declining interest in formal Christian lay education, led to its insolvency and eventual closure. What is ironic is, from the hands of the religious, this place fell into the hands of the occult. It was bought by the famous secular faith healer Tony Agpawa in 1973. For 14 years until 1987, he ran this place as a hotel, which included a casino. Some people thought that must have been displeasing to God because the hotel and the casino closed down almost immediately after the faith healer died. This whole place fell into disrepair until it was finally taken over by the city government in 2005. The government doesn't have the money to fix the place either, so it just kept it in ruins. It's a dilapidated, uninhabitable building, a repository of junk like an oversized basement. It's got no utilities. When it rains, it leaks madly. It just seems to thrive on neglect, becoming just a curious tourist destination for many years. But that kind of derelict state has morphed into a charm of its own, that today there's almost a clamor to keep it that way as a poignant reminder of the rise and fall of Roman Catholic Orthodoxy in the city. But to its credit, the city government decided to de-emphasize that point and, even on a shoestring budget, bravely tried to rehab the place as a showcase for historic and cultural preservation. So today, it hosts an occasional art exhibit, art installations, and small cultural performances from time to time. But mostly, it just keeps it open for people to come inside or walk around the grounds, smell the flowers, take a commanding panoramic view of the city below. After all, it is the highest point in the city, making it only logical for a telecommunications antenna farm to sprout right beside the road leading up to it. Few people who visit here are actually aware that the Ark of the Covenant is here. Most of them just pass by the building housing it. Some even take a certain dislike for this hideous thing, remembering that some years ago, what was in the place of this building was a prayer garden dedicated to Saint Martin de Porres, the Roman Catholic patron saint of dog lovers. When that lovely outdoor prayer garden was bulldozed to give way to this building, some old visitors just simply stopped coming. That's how this place also became a graveyard of memories, including some associated with these two swan boats that used to float in the middle of a man-made lagoon in Burnham Park some 5 kilometers away. I wrote a couple of articles about this place, and I will include a link in the description below if you want to check them out. That's it for a brief, hopefully interesting nugget of information about Baguio City's once glorious hilltop seminary, long forgotten, just like the Ark of the Covenant itself is long forgotten, except to those who still read their Bibles from time to time. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next video.